welcome. We're mighty happy to have you with us tonight.
You look at 70 years of Channel 5, and the changes you see aren't just the faces on the screen or even in evolving technology. Looking at 70 years of Channel 5 is a documentation of a city. You see how Nashville changed, both as a community and how it was seen in the eyes of the world. And so, in taking a journey through decades of station history, we have been going through the tape archive, old promotional photo shoots.
This archive room, with its rows upon rows of tapes, houses about 30 years worth of news stories. So with access to so much, the question becomes, where do we even start?
We're Television 5.
Oh, you're going to have to go back further than that.
You're looking good.
Awesome. But before that,
The Eyewitness News Team.
before Bring It All Home to You, before the station was even known as WTVF, it was called WLAC. Now, we're going earlier than this too, but hold on. This is an important clip for two people you see in it.
To find out if the concept and design really works, let's ask Chris Clark.
Chris Clark. Chris Clark. Chris Clark. Chris Clark.
I'm Chris Clark. I was impressed with the management and the people at Channel 5.
In interviewing Chris Clark in this clip is Bill J. Bill J's son is Buddy Bumpus.
He just came off as a real affable, fun-loving guy.
He was a professional in every sense of the word.
1954, there are more than 100 TV stations showing up across the country this year alone. In fact, at the start of 1954, there are already 2 TV stations in Nashville. People across the country are not only getting used to the idea of having local television, they're also finding options.
Being the third station to go on the air was the first station with maximum tower height and maximum power, which meant people in northern Tennessee and southern Kentucky, we became their first TV station.
A letter was mailed out. For immediate release, WLAC TV schedules regular broadcast on Channel 5, Friday, August 6th, 1954.
The business offices and studio was located next to the LNC Tower. It was technically called the LNC Annex.
It was 1956 when Bill J. arrived.
And I think it was called the Big News back then. But he was very devoted to his family. He'd do the 10 o'clock news, and Mother would tell stories of constantly having to wipe the TV set clean from her 3 children kissing their daddy goodnight.
Now, this was a different time. In pioneering days of local television, a news anchor wasn't limited to one thing, and Bill certainly wasn't.
It was the Popeye show. He was Captain Bill.
There we are. Look at that.
Woods and Waters was an outdoors TV show that he started. Dad's on the left, and the gentleman on the right is Bill Clay. He was Father's co-host for many, many years.
All sorts of shows were being created by WLAC.
And don't forget, the network service didn't start till prime time. There was nothing else to do. Just a fun, shoot by the hip. Here's a great idea, let's try it. In a cramped little studio, not very clean. The whole building was very small.
It was kind of dark and musty.
You were just close to everybody, and that made for some kind of camaraderie.
Cameras are now breaking for another rehearsal in their tight afternoon schedule. Cartoon Carnival.
They went into puppet shows because they were cheap. You could do them fast, easy.
It may look as if we've gone on location, but through the wonders of rear screen projection, we've just moved to the other end of the studio.
An early tour video of the original WLAC caught my eye.
Now in progress is an on-camera rehearsal for one of our more popular daytime programs, Southern Cooking. It features Nashville's leading cateress, Eudora Boxley. Every day, Monday through Friday, Eudora gives out with famous old Southern recipes.
I wanted to know more about Eudora Boxley. What's her story? And luckily,
That's at downtown Nashville.
there was someone out there happy to tell me about her. Waddell Frierson.
I'm the only one that's still living down the new house. I was a grandson, and she raised me.
Waddell shares around the 50s and 60s, his grandmother had a catering business run out of her home, once here in this stretch of Jefferson Street.
It was all black business. She could cook anything.
And she did, serving people in the neighborhood and the artists playing nightclubs a few doors down.
Pat Domino would sit in the swing. We had a swing in the front yard. He would sit in the swing and sing to us.
Eudora's cooking was becoming known far beyond the black community of Nashville.
I remember the first time I went to Bear Meat. I said, these people got the restroom inside the house.
It was Eudora's strong reputation that led to her own show on WLAC. It was being broadcast out of that annex to the LNC Tower, though actually in Eudora's earliest years at the station, the tower was still being built. Just as the skyline was changing, the state was changing. Beginning in 1956, Tennessee was seeing protests over integration attempts of schools.
I think they'll get in here, but I don't know how long they'll live after they do get in here. They cannot keep the police out here always. I don't think they got any business in here to start with.
There was an unsolved series of bombings surrounding places and figures involved in desegregation efforts. 1960 saw the Nashville sit-ins, efforts to end racial segregation at lunch counters. It was during this era Waddell was proudly driving his grandmother through downtown Nashville to get her to WLAC, a black woman with her own show on Nashville TV.
We'd all get around TV and watch him.
About 20 years ago, Channel 5 employee Ann Rice wrote to Waddell's family about her memories of Eudora. Everything she did on air, she did live and easily. If she dropped an egg, she would laugh and go on. This talented lady was a joy to be with. Eudora ended her savory dishes with the advice: be sure to add just a few grains of red pepper.
Sometimes we used to cry because we know she was on a black person we had seen on TV. And then sometimes we rejoiced. It was emotional.
Eudora was diabetic, and problems with her health ended her trips to go live on Southern Cooking.
This is the last picture of her before she passed away. I loved her very much. She loved me, and she was the best thing that ever happened to me.
And so we end a remembrance of Eudora Boxley with the same advice. She ended those savory dishes. Be sure to add just a few grains of red pepper.
One thing to sit behind a desk and deliver the news. One thing to sit behind a desk and deliver the news.
When Atlanta news anchor Chris Clark arrived for an interview in 1966, he was partly drawn to what was on WLAC's air.
They had a weather radar.
Now here's Bob Lobertini at the Channel 5 Electronic Weather Central.
Very pleasant good afternoon, everyone.
And beyond this, Chris was impressed with a show already on the station's air, something that at the time felt revolutionary.
Having black musicians, for instance, play on television in Nashville, unheard of. Nobody had ever done it. We did it.
You're 85, Jimmy?
Yeah. 85 and counting.
In rehearsal for another gig in an exceptionally long career.
I don't want to slow down.
Jimmy Church says his life has taught him something with total certainty.
Gonna have to put your flat feet on the ground. Music is something that really doesn't have color. It's a feel. It gives a message to reach the people down in the gutter or the people up in the presidency. Music, it connects.
1964, a few years before the interstate arrived in the area, Jefferson Street was a thriving place for black business and music.
Jefferson Street was like Beale Street in Memphis. They had clubs. That's where everybody played.
Owner of Jefferson Street Sound Museum, Lorenzo Washington.
We were in the time of segregation, Jim Crow. A lot of the artists was afraid to travel.
For those who did, a green book was still necessary, a listing of safe places for black travelers to stay and eat.
You know what to do and you know what not to do.
And into that steps a Nashville radio DJ, Noble Blackwell.
He was like an Ed Sullivan to us, you know, in the neighborhood.
Noble took a meeting with the general manager of Channel 5,
Mr. T.B. Baker.
Noble had an idea to pitch him.
A black TV show But first, we don't have no sponsors. Nobody say, I'll take care of the sponsors.
All aboard, the night train now boarding.
And an audacious hello to you.
Speaking to us from Maryland is Noble's family, left to right, wife Katie, daughter Tracy, and granddaughter Diamond.
He had so much charisma.
You stick and stay, don't go away.
People loved my father.
Wherever you may be, cool it now.
There's so many catchphrases.
Mighty fine.
One was yes, 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 yes. And in the meantime, and in between time, take especially good care of yourself and be good to your neighbor.
Major artists visiting the city would make an appearance on Night Train.
James Brown,
Gladys Knight,
B.B. King,
Little Richard,
Otis Redding.
And beyond that, the international syndication was an unparalleled showcase for all those Jefferson Street acts.
Here is Jimmy Church.
Including Jimmy.
I mean, I was excited. You know, TV show, it just opened the doors.
If they were on TV, they could get jobs.
Night Train was it. It showcased the black talent.
There's also this, an early appearance by a performer who'd been playing locally just a few years before his breakthrough.
Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix was wearing a suit and tie.
Something was happening. People were tuning into Night Train, and it wasn't just the black audience. The show was one part of a national cultural shift.
There was still a lot of racial tension, and black music was sort of considered by the white audience taboo. The popularity of it began to cross over.
Once whites got into it, then they just took it to another level.
Because it was a syndicated program, the global acceptance of R&B, Night Train helped to promote it.
Night Train ended in 1967. Noble went on to a long career in broadcasting. He died in 1994. Many years after his appearances on Night Train, Jimmy is proud not only to still be performing, but being given the chance to see firsthand the sort of impact music can make.
I'm just blessed to be a part of it, you know.
In the meantime, take especially good care of yourself and be good to your neighbor.
We hope that you'll be around and ready to roll along on the night train next time when Noble Blackwell will be back with more top talent.
WLAC was about to move. In 1968, a new building was ready to open on James Robertson Parkway.
We made the move in order to accommodate color television. They had the thought from the beginning that we would produce television shows for the network. We promoted it as the only television station in Nashville designed specifically for color television. We had thousands of people come through the station. We brought in some stars from CBS programs of the day.
That notably included Andy Griffith's star George Lindsay. He'd be back here many more times in the years to come.
By the next year, the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour abruptly ended and CBS was looking for a summer replacement series. They now had this building as an option, and they wanted something in the style of Laugh-In, but with a somewhat different flavor.
The pitch was a show with rural charm. Might need a barn, might need a field, maybe a truck stop.
Lulu, you're looking like a star in those sunglasses.
Lulu Roman's home tells a story about a show and a group of people she was proud to join.
I used to be the comedian in the strip joints in Dallas, Texas. I had to learn how to conduct myself.
But friend, musician Buck Owens recommended Lulu for one of the roles this new show was looking to fill.
One boy next door, one fat dumb man and one fat dumb woman. Buck said, I got your girl. She's in Dallas.
Welcome to Hee-Haw!
At Channel 5, behind these doors is where you'd find Cornfield County. In the studio that's now 5+, the first stage manager was Jim Norton.
It put country comedy into the living room of every house in America.
The boom mic operator was Glenn True.
Right behind me here is the very one that I used on the Hee-Haw show.
First time she met Carol Burnett, Lulu did that.
She said, shut your mouth, child. You're fixing to be one of us.
And sure enough, the success wasn't just in rural areas, it was famously popular in major cities.
Our biggest audience was New York, wasn't it?
At Channel 5, it was never lip sync. It was all live music.
You did it live, or you didn't do it.
And Beauregard Jr.
Circle around and do-si-do. Hee-haw's here with another show. All the gangs picking in the band. With prettier songs and prettier women.
The camaraderie was real, and audiences felt it.
What you saw in that little tube in your living room was what was going on in the studio.
This is the Hee Haw softball team. This is the first game ever played at Greer Stadium.
The famous Grand Ole Opry.
By the time Hee Haw arrived, the Grand Ole Opry had been around for more than 40 years, roughly 25 of them here at the Ryman.
From this sprang the country music industry and the Nashville sound, which has made the city one of the leading recording centers of the nation.
That was a vital show for Nashville, and so was Hee Haw.
It really exposed country music and Nashville to the world.
You know what, Charlie? My wife, she looked the same way she did 20 years ago.
Sad, ain't it?
How would you describe the comedy on Hee Haw?
Corny.
Punchlines you can see coming a mile away. But we all laughed anyway.
And everyone on set was welcome to give ideas.
I called her the truck slug.
George, do you dress in the dark?
It's called Wash and Wear.
Hee Haw was shot here at Channel 5 until the early 80s when it moved to Opryland. It ended its run in 1993, more than 650 episodes. Lulu's been open about her journey overcoming substance abuse during the years of the show.
After I gave my heart to Jesus, the Lord kind of started working on me and I guess molding me and making me to quite a different person than I was when I first started.
Hee Haw spans Lulu's journey.
She was genuine.
Exactly like you saw her on the show.
She had a heart big as all outdoors.
I was so excited to get to be a part of it and to get to do it and to get to meet all these neat people. It was my family. I loved every second of it. I did. It's very precious that people still remember it. That's rich. It is.
To sit behind a desk and deliver the news.
In that new studio, the crew at WLAC began producing all sorts of projects, music videos and commercials.
And it swings by itself.
We sell more of them and at a lower price than practically anyone in the nation. Photographic imports.
There's this one, a surprisingly artful ad for low-fat milk. What can we say? It was the 70s. And it was around this time someone arrived for a Nashville visit. That visit's linked to some of the most personal work Chris ever did.
You know, Jerry Lewis is not only a comedian, a writer, a producer, and a film director, he's a man with a cause.
In 1972, the year before Jerry Lewis made this visit, Channel 5 had become part of Jerry's yearly telethons benefiting the Muscular Dystrophy Association. The segments in the Nashville market had gone staggeringly well, and Jerry was here to speak to the state legislature about it.
I'm delighted to be able to tell you some things that you didn't even know, that were it not for Nashville, Tennessee, on September the 5th of last year, we might have had about $1.5 million less.
And so began a long partnership.
So if you're around here, you'll tune it in. It's number 5. How could you miss it?
For years, the telethons would include segments live in Nashville, hosted by Chris.
And as the phones ring, the lights in the wheelchair go out.
And these were long productions.
We go for 20 hours until I go into cardiac arrest.
I've had a lot of requests to show my shoes because these people have been giving me a hard time.
With the pull local TV had built by this point, there was a lot of good that could be done for charitable causes. And over the years, this work felt more and more meaningful for Chris. He was sharing stories of local families affected by the disease.
My son has Duchenne muscular dystrophy. That is a tug of war at this point. The patient is in the middle. Muscular dystrophy is at one end of the rope. We, the parents, are at the other end of the rope.
And Chris was sharing the stories of local people joining that fight.
Oh, I've called most of my friends and everybody's making contributions.
There was Ann Scalar. She'd heard that for every $200 raised, 7-Eleven was donating a bicycle.
I donated these bicycles to the Tennessee Baptist Children's Home. I've already raised enough money to get 5.
That people would take on major goals by themselves. It was beautiful. You'll notice Chris is dressed differently here than earlier.
He's kept in the background and like directing a great orchestra.
It's because when I had this visit with him, he was remembering former station general manager Harold Crump. Harold had just died. Harold had a good friend whose son had muscular dystrophy. He was key in getting his station involved in the telethon. And through the telethon, Chris learned about a place where he would start volunteering.
It's a summer camp for these kids, just like a summer camp is for any kid. They're away from their parents. They get to be like any normal kid. 1 counselor per child.
They were so sweet. And I knew what their future was going to be. And I had to help. And Harold felt the same way. And to this day, it just touches me in a way that nothing else has. They were just great kids. They were my kids, too.
The world never sees us in a better light than when we pull together.
Thank you so much for helping me help Jerry's kids.
In 1974, WLAC introduced a news anchor named Oprah Winfrey. Bill knew this was someone special.
He said that Oprah Winfrey, you watch it.
The president is expected to arrive here at the National Guard hangar.
She's going someplace.
The television station was sold.
We got it. 10-4.
And we went to WTVF, Television 5. There was a lot of concern among the rank and file that we couldn't keep the LAC, but WTVF caught on just fine.
We still bring it all home to you.
We get to 1984. What was on TV back then? Magnum P.I., Cagney and Lacey, Scarecrow and Mrs. King. And during all this, Channel 5 was just about to introduce something new to the schedule. Something new in the morning. A lot of the pure fun at the station has been on Talk of the Town.
Ready? Look at that.
Good. It's been wild. It's been adventurous.
Landing safe and sound was the greatest experience I had all day.
And it has a proven longevity. Still on the air, more than 40 years since it launched. And there are the enduring moments. Like that time a buffalo went on the studio floor.
He's going to the bathroom again.
We're not going to re-air that footage, but you can use your imagination what it was like.
Over 70 years, a whole lot of familiar faces have come into our lives. And over 70 years, some familiar faces have left us. What do you hope people remember about your dad more than anything?
That he really cared.
There he is.
People have talked about what contribution that he made. Father said, I hadn't made a contribution. I've received a contribution. And I think he truly believed that.
A lot of stories in the 70-year history of a place. But luckily, those stories have always been in good hands with the storytellers who lived it.
Storytellers including Buddy, Waddell, Jimmy, Lulu, and Chris.
In the meantime,
For the very best in television enjoyment,
It's number 5. How could you miss it?
just look!
got some things that will be of interest to you.
On Television 5. Television 5. Television 5. Television 5. That's Television 5.
One thing to sit behind a desk and deliver the